acordar eso con el propio presidente Arias.
That's going to be agreed upon with President Arias. But it's going to be a dialogue for the departure of the coup leaders. It shouldn't last more than one day. However, that has not yet been agreed upon.
But what are you willing to negotiate over? Will you accept anything less than your full reinstatement? And do you really believe that Roberto Micheletti will say, all right, that's it, I'm leaving?
Lo que se va a hacer es cumplir las resoluciones
What is
de la
going to be done
Organización de
is to
Estados
fulfill the
Americanos.
resolution of the Organization of American States and the resolution of the United Nations, in which they ask first and foremost for the reinstatement of the President of the Republic. That is number one. And number two is complete non-recognition of the authorities put in place by coup d'etat and condemnation of the coup d'etat.
But there is now a de facto government there in Honduras. Therefore, how much time will you give yourself? Because presumably, with the passage of time, this isn't playing in your favor.
El gobierno tiene un vacío total de la humanidad completa. Todos los países árabes, los países
The government is
africanos, los
completely
países asiáticos,
disconnected
los
from
países
all of
europeos.
humanity. All of the countries, the Arab countries, the African countries, the Asian countries, the European countries, the countries of the Americas have all closed their doors to this government. It is isolated, and internally the people are conducting a general strike of workers. There's a general strike of teachers. I think that they just have a few hours left to stay in power, and if they do so by force, it will be at the expense of the people.
In Honduras, the military, the Supreme Court, the Congress, all believed that you acted outside of the law when you began to explore the possibility of holding a referendum that would look into the election of a constituent assembly that would then draft a new constitution. They believed that was illegal. Do you think they were all wrong?
¿Está bien? Es posible que sea ilegal lo que estoy haciendo.
That's fine. It is possible that what I was doing was illegal. But if a government is doing something illegal, then does the military come in and take the president prisoner, remove him from his country by force, at gunpoint, and afterwards hold a trial? It seems to me like that is turning the world backwards. It is turning the law upside down. That would be anti-law. Everywhere in the world, first you hold a trial, and afterwards you execute the person who's convicted or you put them in jail. Here, they executed first. They convicted the person who had a problem. So it seems to me that it is not credible. It is absurd.
But are you saying, though, are you admitting that you acted illegally and that you in fact plunged your country into a constitutional crisis that led to the coup?
Yo no he dicho eso. Eso lo
I
está
have not
diciendo.
said that. I have not done what you said. However, what I will say is that if there was an infraction of any kind, any crime or misdemeanor, then a trial should have been held so that I could have defended myself with transparency. In order to understand what was happening, there has to be a trial. I haven't had any charges filed against me at any time in my life, ever. Not as a private citizen, as a person, as a politician, or as a president. This is something that was made up by the coup leaders.
Many observers in the region are adamant that this coup could not have taken place without the knowledge of the United States at the very least, and possibly even its acquiescence.
Es cierto,
It's true that there are many rumors in that regard. However, the United States has categorically denied it. I believe that they were not in agreement with this.
They may have denied it publicly, but is it plausible at all to you that the United States, at some level or another, may have known, after all, there is a military base with some 650 military personnel and presumably some intelligence officers as well, and there is that historical relationship between the Honduran military and the CIA and the Pentagon? Could there have been some kind of role from within the United States?
The position of the United States government, of President Barack Obama, the official position, has been to completely condemn the coup d'etat. Furthermore, there has been a firm stance with regard to my reinstatement as president. Additionally, they've denied the appointments for the aggressor government. Yesterday, they removed the ambassador from the embassy in Washington who had met with the coup leaders. So there's criticism that the United States is playing a dual role. However, I do not believe it. If there were any indication of this, I would say so bravely. However, at this point in time, I do not believe that the President or Secretary Hillary Clinton were in favor of the coup. They've been emphatic in their position.
But do you see a unity, though, of purpose and position within the U.S. administration? Because even though, as you say, President Obama has been very forthcoming and has spoken about the need for your reinstatement, Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, seemed to be more ambiguous. She talked about the need to restore the constitutional order that was breached, but she stopped short of talking about your reinstatement. Do you feel the U.S. has been straightforward with you?
The United States was not officially involved as a government in the coup, and they've condemned it. Now, the United States is a superpower, and there are many internal forces involved in this country. There are many communication channels regarding all of the United States government, and I don't have any doubt that perhaps some forces within the United States may have been supporting the return of the military to power in Honduras, and the use of force rather than reason, and violence as a means to maintain their privileges. I don't have the slightest doubt that that exists. But at this point in time, it is not the official position of the U.S. government.
Did Washington lay specific conditions for your return?
No, not at all. They've simply been opening up some spaces, such as the opportunity for Oscar Arias. They've spoken with the OAS and given it their support. They've supported the United Nations. The U.S. even co-sponsored the resolution for my reinstatement. So I believe that the Obama administration and Secretary Clinton have a single position. However, internally, throughout the United States government, I know that there are other kinds of interests involved. However, I believe that the administration is acting correctly, thus far.
Do these U.S. interests include the return of someone like yourself to power? After all, you have had increasingly close relationships with Hugo Chavez, Evo Morales, the presidents of Venezuela and Bolivia, which may not always have been looked upon very favorably here in Washington.
The United States is trying to mediate and correct problems in the Middle East and in the Arab world, in which there are even greater conflicts. They're trying to fix problems in Asia. And if this position of the United States were weak in their own backyard of Central America, in the realm of the dollar, which is Central America, if they do not have firm positions regarding this problem, then how can they fix the other problems throughout the world?
So at this stage, what kind of concessions are you willing to make? Are you willing to say unequivocally that you abandon any move toward a referendum, that you will not seek re-election, that you will allow Micheletti to be president? What are you willing to do?
I have never sought re-election ever, nor do I want it. That's something that was made up by the coup leaders. The only thing I'm requesting is the reinstatement of the law in the country, nothing else. I do not need to judge people. That is not my role. However, there are laws and there are crimes for which one must be prosecuted.